So, where would you uh, like to read an excerpt from?
I'm going to read starting at the bottom of page 156 and reading through the top part of 158. Now, let me give a brief introduction.
Absolutely.
This is to set it up. This is a continuance of a conversation that actually began probably many days before this at a banquet that this young man, this young sculptor, Shamir, and his mentor, Asla. His mentor is probably about 50. Shamir's about 18 or thereabouts. They were at a party, and conversation kind of briefly brought up something that Asla referred to as the Great Mercy. And Shamir wanted to know more about this, but Asla kind of put him off because they're at a party. And he said, this is kind of a complex thing and it's a very personal thing. I don't want to get into it now. We'll talk about it later. So this is that later. And they've been conversing about this actually quite a bit. And it brought up the gods that the Nabateans worship. And Shamir asked, well, what do you think about these gods and all that? So he gives them his view on it. But I'm going to start at it about halfway into the conversation. Shamir took a small skin of wine from the tent's corner, removed its plug, and handed it to Asla. He took a swig and handed it back. Shamir plugged it again and laid it aside. He said, I see what you mean. I often felt something like this, watching my Abba pour out his cheap wine on the black stone that he said was the presence of Deshara. And how could one as powerful as the Lord of the Sharos live in a rock cut and dressed by a mere man? Asla leaned toward the young man and lowered his voice. My son, I have not told this to anyone until now, not even my wife Meshkuya. But at times I have roamed these rugged mountains in search of a new and perfect stone, or to work out the details of some difficult design. And I have sometimes sensed up there a great weight pressing down upon me. I cannot see it, but the immense bulk is beyond my reckoning, and its perfection and beauty so far above any understanding. It throws me to the ground and crushes me. It crushes me so I cannot even draw breath. But while it is such a great and solemn oppression, I sense it means me no harm. That if it did wish to kill me, it would merely puff on my small life like the wick of a lamp and extinguish it in an instant. But along with its holy perfection, the great weight is filled with an equally vast mercy for me. It not only wishes me no harm, but holds within its heart all things for my greatest benefit. This is why I've come to call it the mercy, for it, or he, is surely that. Shamir cocked his head, attempting to make sense of the man's cryptic words. Is this not just Dushara, the lord of the Shara Mountains? When you climb into his realm, would not he make his presence known to you? A skewed smile crossed the older man's lips, at a loss for how to better explain himself. He scratched the back of his head and said, This is no god of the mountains. Though Deshara has his devotees throughout the land of the Nabatu, beyond this land they know nothing of him, and they worship 1,000 other gods with 1,000 other names. No, this one is higher than the highest heavens, for whom the entire earth in all its rocky bulk is but a grain of dust. At night, when I cannot sleep, I leave my tent and look up to see numberless glorious stars swimming in the endless void of midnight. Are they pinpricked holes in the black canopy? Letting the light of some holy lit place beyond shine into our night sky? Perhaps they are countless suns like our own, burning with unending light, shining on their own uncountable worlds like this one. No one knows these things. And yet, I believe I know with a certainty beyond anything else that all of these wonderful things we have seen are simply playthings created by the mercy for His good pleasure. He was before and outside of all that we can see or touch or know. And while He is so grand and unfathomable, in some strange way, He stoops Himself down to where we live and touches our tiny lives with His care, with His compassion for us. Shamir shook his head and blinked his eyes. My master, your words cause my head to swim and spin. I cannot wrap my thinking or understanding around such ideas. Does this one have a name by which he can be called? Is the mercy his name? No, though I use that word in reference to him, I don't know that he has revealed his personal name to me. Our neighbors, the Udeans, say their God is so far beyond our own experience, it is foolish to desecrate him by speaking his name, if he has one. And I'll leave it there.
Oh man, I would just go. We're in it. We're in it. Understood. Understood. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. Well, is there anything else you'd like to leave us with? Maybe we covered it all or something. Oh,
Well,
contact.
go ahead.
Contact. How do we contact you to get your book, order it? We go to Amazon. What's the deal?
My website that has loads of information on the book itself, how and why I wrote it. There's a blog of articles there too, some of which are written about like the history of Nabatee and Petra, my own writing experience, updates on what I'm writing. Anyway, that is at brockmeierauthor.com, and that's MEIER for Meyer. Pretty simple. And then my book is available basically anywhere. You can find it on Amazon. You can search on my name, Brock Meyer, The Stonecutter. It's available hardback, paperback, ebook. It's also available on Barnes & Noble, through the Walmart website, 100 different independent booksellers. It's out there. Shouldn't be hard to find.
Thank you. Thank you for being so.
And let me leave people out there with this one last thought.
Sure.
Even if you don't consider yourself a writer, really consider the story that you have to tell. A dear friend of mine talks about the fact that God is writing His story in us and through us. And whatever that story is, you may not necessarily write it down, but I would seriously consider whether you should be writing it down. If not published for the public to read, maybe for your family. You have a story to tell. God is writing His story within you. So think about that, pray on that, consider it.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you for having me. I've enjoyed it immensely.
Well, friends, till the next time, Fides et Ratio.